Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make Bossa Nova. It's really simple once you understand how to create the chord types. So firstly, we're in Omnisphere. We have the nylon sky guitar. You can also use the ample sound guitar L for luthier. Okay, so what we're going to do is build ninth chords, but omit a certain note out of the chord. This looks complicated, but it's really not. If you click here and you go to minor ninth chord stamp, you'll see this is just a minor ninth chord. What we're doing is we're taking out the fifth or the third note in this specific chord. So you can map out this chord type, and you could either lower the fifth down an octave, which was done here, or you can just omit the third and add the fifth as a colored tone. So using that simple approach, let's look at these chord types. Now you don't always have to use a ninth chord here. We're using a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is a dominant seventh chord, very popular in jazz to use dominant chords to transition between two different chord types. So we're going from a minor ninth chord over to a dominant seventh chord, which most likely will lead to the tonic. You don't need to memorize all this music theory. In short, you just want to look at the chord note or the bottom note. In this case, they made B the bottom note and then count down 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it went down to E, okay, because that would be leading into that chord. Now, technically, if it's not voiced like that, it would be G, and then we would drop down into C, okay? So it depends on how you voice the chord technically. But because we use the B in our bass note, the ear is listening for that fifth. You don't need to know all the music theory needs. But typically, the G would land back to C, and that would be called a dominant to tonic. So I'm just showing you how to think about chords. So let's just play it. The real key here is using that tritone and using this half step jump from here to here. So let's analyze this a little bit more. Again, minor ninth chord without the fifth, you could actually lower the fifth down an octave, which serves as the bass note. Nextly, we have the third in the bass. You could also consider it being, one down, which is E. Okay, that would make this a minor chord. But remember, this is the dominant seventh. So you're basically, okay, let's pull that note back. So now we're lowering the third here, the major third. The reason it has this tense vibe is this half step right here. Okay, so it's all about the half steps in jazz. And the push-pull effect is that dominant seventh chord. Now this chord is interesting because if you count it out as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's a tritone. And this is a great chord for passing into another chord, just using that simple tritone. And then we have 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have the minor seventh, a tritone, and the tonic note. We have 11, 12, 13, 14, and then 15. Let's pull this down. So it would typically look like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a diminished chord, okay? And then 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a minor seventh. We're just keeping this tone the same. It's pretty much all we're doing. That's a decision for color more than it is the chord type. So this is really a diminished chord right here. So this is why these other chord types are so important. And I teach you this in our Music Theory Magic course. If you go to busyworksbeats.com/music theory magic, I teach you this stuff. So for example, the ninth chord, the minor ninth chord here, moves into a transitional chord called the dominant seventh chord, and then that moves into an even more transitional chord called a diminished chord. That diminished chord goes down to, if you count this out, let's revoice this. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's another tritone. 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a minor seventh up top, and that tritone balance. Okay, now if you were to pull this down to make it easier, it'd be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a major third. 5, 6, 7, 8. It's an augmented chord. And the 9, 10, that's a minor seventh over top. So really this is an augmented chord. So it goes from it goes from minor ninth to dominant seventh chord to diminished chord to augmented chord, technically, if we were to map it out all the way. Undo all these changes, okay? And then we're gonna move into the minor chord again. So really, you're playing one chord All the other chords are just filler chords. And that's what I teach you in music theory magic, how to move from one chord to the next, how to know what chord is next. Okay, there's an intervallic resolution to it. Okay, so that's all this middle stuff is just filler to get you back to the same exact chord, which is D minor ninth. Now let's say you wanted to improv over this. You could right click, just find your tonic key, in this case D, and we're in the key of, we're a minor key. I'm gonna select minor pentatonic. If you're in the major key, select major pentatonic. In this case, it's a minor starting chord. We're gonna go to minor pentatonic and just play your typing keyboard. Just go up and down. And then you have instant melody. Really that simple. It looks more complex, but I want you guys to simplify it. It's one big chord, like a minor ninth. One big chord at the end, minor ninth. Everything else in between is just a matter of diminished chords, dominant chords, or augmented chords to guide the ear back to the same exact chord. So it's not complicated. The main thing is just understanding we have to take out, in the chord voicing, take out the fifth or pull it down an octave. And revoice some of these chords to be a little more spread. Really simple. Thank you guys for watching. It's Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. Peace.